Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Refueling Station Live. I am your host, Dr. Erin Wheeler. I am a cognitive psychology expert, executive leadership coach, entrepreneur, and creator. And I have created this space where leaders of color can gain inspiration to live, do, and be well. So, thank you for tuning in. If you're brand new, if you've been tuning in and catching a few shows here and there, I appreciate you equally. And I hope you stay tuned to this series or either go back and watch my previous episodes so that you can learn how to escape burnout, live better, do better, and have a more balanced life and be successful. So, thank you for tuning in. I am so excited. I have this series that I'm doing, and we started last week. If you missed it, go back and watch the TikTok trap where I unlocked the myths on time management. So, just a quick recap. I talked about the 5 ways that time management was faulty, right? And so it's a lot of things that we thought as professionals we have it. We feel like we have it all together because we have planners, paper, digital to-do lists, Asanas, Trellos, paper, pencil, bullet journals, voice notes, memos. Oh, we have everything, right? There's everything to keep track of our life. But the mistake that we make is penciling in all the stuff that doesn't matter and then being so overwhelmed where we can't do what we want, even if it is the busy stuff. We can't even get through the stuff that makes us busy. And then at the end of the year, upon each birthday, and when you're doing deep reflections, you feel like, where's the time gone? And fill in the blank. Haven't haven't did X, bought the house, started the business, wrote the book, any changes you want to make. I haven't started my new wellness routine. I haven't sought a therapist. Anything that you name that's important, we neglect to put on our list, make the time for it. And so there's all kinds of things that we're doing that keeps us in this, what I called it, a TikTok trap, right? And so the 5 reasons that time management is faulty. Number one is that it neglects individual energy levels. There's 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. We can't control that. But when we manage and plan our day to a T, especially if it's in our future, we plan it so jam packed because we know we have to get so much done. We plan it so tight that we don't even consider that we may not have the energy levels for that. And once we get to that day and we don't feel have the energy to do it, and we're just dragging, and it feels like we're in cement and we're trying to chug along, we can't do it. Whether it's we don't have the mental energy to do it, emotional energy, whether we're dead tired and we can't focus, that weighs on your motivation because you can't get stuff done. So the second way that time management is faulty is that it ignores prioritization. So just like I was saying before, we put so much stuff on our list that's so not important. And even if we do put the stuff that is important to us, we don't set the right boundaries to say, you know what, that this is something that I need to do. I can't do this for you. So we find ourselves ripping and running for everybody else, even if it's the kids or the spouse or the partner or church or the sorority or the fraternity or work or anything that's on our to-do list. We just find ourselves just ripping and running, and we forget to prioritize what's important. And so time management is usually filled with stuff you have to do. It may have some weight, but are we really prioritizing the things that are important to us, our personal mission, our purpose for our life, the things that'll keep us well, whole, healthy individuals? I'm going to not even step out on a limb. I'm going to use myself and say, hey, sometimes I don't prioritize those things because when I look at my calendar, I didn't put in things for breaks and lunch and exercise and walking and even breaks to do nothing where I'm just staring out the window or coloring. I don't put those on my calendar. Those are important. I need to prioritize to get through the stuff on my calendar, but it doesn't get there right. The number 3 reason that time management is faulty is that it's an overemphasis on quantity instead of quality. So again, we jam pack our schedules with a whole bunch of stuff that's not important. One, that's the prioritization. Two, a whole lot of stuff, that's the quantity part instead of quality. So when we jam pack stuff, we find ourselves rushing to get through things. We find ourselves stressed because we're rushing. And then we find ourselves stressed out more because we get disappointed because we know it's not our best effort that we want to give. So again, we keep weighing ourselves down and burning ourselves out because we're trying to hold true to, like, I need to do this on time without even considering, is this the right thing I should do? Am I going to, do I have enough space and capacity to do it well? And even if it's, do I have the energy to do this right now? We neglect all of those things when we strictly adhere to time management, sticking to the planner, and just penciling out every day, every hour of our day. Number four, reason that time management is a trap: it ignores our mental and emotional well-being. Some days we may not have it. And then some days it's like Dory from Finding Nemo. Our memory is wiped of everything we did the day before. And we like trying to figure out, why am I so tired? I drank, and I sometimes I'll check off everything on my list, right? I drank water, I took my iron, I took my vitamin D, I walked, I got some sunshine, I ate multiple times, I ate fruit, I ate vegetables, I took a nap, I got 8 hours. Like, I'm checking all of these things off that I did, and I'm still tired. But then when I think back and say, Erin, you had you've done a lot this week, sis. Like, I have to talk to you did a lot. It's okay if you can't string together two words right now. You need to just go sit down. Go sit down, take some time off, regroup, recalibrate, get back to it. And so sometimes that time, if we plan out the perfect day, we don't know if we're going to be in the right mental or emotional space to handle that. And so time management doesn't incorporate that when we're planning and we're creating our daily or weekly or monthly to-do list. And lastly, it is not adaptable to change. Life happens. We can't control it. Time happens. We can't bottle it up. We can't extend it. But when we have to throw those plans out the window, one wrong thing, a temp from your baby has a temp, your partner forgot their keys, you have a flat tire, you're sick, somebody's out, a meeting got pushed back, a meeting got pushed up. There's things that happen every day, but if we strictly hold on to time management, we put all our feelings and stock into that. We get so mad when it doesn't work out, and it usually it usually works out for the good, but we are so focused that it's not on my time. And so if you take that pressure off of yourself and the plan and just say, okay, scratch that, let's reset. No matter how many times a day you have to reset, you planning your day out and not having enough space to be flexible, or you're not allowing yourself to be flexible, it really stresses you out, and that exceeds burnout. So last video, we also talked about, what can you do if we're not managing time? What control do I have? I thought managing time was good. So here are the things that you can do to help to manage something, especially if it's not the time, which we cannot do. We can't manage time. We don't have control over that, right? And so one of the things that you can do first and easy is that you can control your own thoughts. A lot of thoughts that we have are self-sabotaging, right? And so if our thoughts are self-sabotaging, our behavior is going to follow. So if you manage your thoughts, those thoughts that keep you paralyzed, for me, it is overthinking and trying to be 100 steps ahead. And I get overwhelmed instead of just saying, take the first steps and see where it goes. And I know that sounds cliche, but even in everyday life, right now, I'm trying to record this video, prepare for my family coming, prepare for my high school homecoming, prepare for a special service we're having at church, prepare to leave out of town. And so I get overwhelmed with there's a lot of stuff on my plate. And so I have to control my thoughts, check one thing off at a time. This is not life or death. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't get done, they will be okay. That's what I've been saying to myself all day. So I have to manage my thoughts in order to make the best use of my time, because if I don't, I would do nothing, or I will run myself crazy, make mistakes, get frustrated all over again, and just be in a very horrible mood for no reason at all because I just thought myself into that, right? So the next thing you can control are your behaviors. So once you start thinking, and so I thought, okay, one step at a time. The behavior that followed is, what can I do right now? What's left to do? How can I make the most of it? So instead of me going to shop at Target, spend more money, I decided to do a Target cart that's free. I can go pick it up, plan it, but on my way to Target, I thought about what I needed to record this video. I let my mind go free. I stopped to get some food that I can eat quickly and step back on it. Once this is done, I can focus on something else. I can start to prepare my home. I can start to figure out my next steps for the next day. And so thoughts and behaviors line up to each other, right? And then next, you can manage your energy, which is why we're here right now. This is the title of this episode is Burning Out Shining Bright. And we're going to delve into managing your energy. So the example that I gave last video was, sometimes you have to figure out what works best for you. That is where that self-evaluation, the self-awareness comes in, to see what are the time, when am I in a good mood? I hope you're in a good mood at some point. Figure out why. Figure out what makes you light, what makes you excited, what, when you're on your own, what happens to get you to that place? When is the time? What are the conditions? And you figure out what works best for you. So for me, I know I'm an introvert. So if I'm peopling all weekend, then I know I have to set aside time, and I can't fill my schedule with things, or even give myself grace, gracefully productive, give myself grace to rest and take a little easier approach, rather than the more aggressive approach I usually try to put in my day to just challenge myself, right? And so if I that's one of the things I know. Another thing that I know is that I don't I can't do meetings in the morning. I also know I can't do multitasking really well. So I can't go to a meeting, step right out, start writing or doing a deep focus task, go back into a meeting, go back into doing something else. So, how do I manage that energy? Because the meetings drain me. I can't think. I need some time in between. So, I need some space in my day to decompress after. But I do know that I can go back to back meetings and be fine if I know that's what I'm gonna do. So even in this capacity, or when I was working full time, I had Tuesdays was my meeting day, right? So Monday I had an easier day because I work um, for my church, and so Sundays are a little bit long and intense, and so I like to take that nap and ease into Monday a little bit easier, right? Not a bright start, got to get myself together, mind together, everything together on Monday. So my Monday starts late. Tuesday is my meeting day. So I would stack meetings, not back to back where I can't breathe, drink, or go to the bathroom. I would stack them, and I would have to be okay with myself and say, Erin, if you don't open an email or do anything else other than meet, it's okay. You did your job. Your job is to meet with the people you need to meet with, and you've done your job. Turn it off, go lay down, right? Wednesdays was my deep focus day, where I took everything from the meetings, set aside some deep focus time to do some deep work. So I knew how to work with the rhythm of my week, the pace of my week, the pace of my day. So that's how you manage, generally, an example of how I manage my energy. But for this episode of Refueling Station Live, I want to explore that concept more. I want to just take it a little bit further And so I want to introduce you to the four principles of energy management. So the first principle is that energy management requires full engagement, requires drawing from the four sources of energy, right? And so it's not, I like the concept of whole. This is what I'm talking to staff. This is what I'm talking to colleges about when they talk about helping students. People are not just one sided. They don't bring just one side of themselves. They are whole. We are humans. Our humanity, we're not just presenting it, we're not superficial, we're not one dimensional. We have different parts of us and we bring all of that to it. And so when we're not allowed to operate in that, we burn out and we're not successful. So full engagement, full engagement when you are fully engaged in any task, any project, anything in life. This is not just about work, this is about home too. Success requires drawing from four separate and related energy sources, and you can probably guess them. It is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So I like this approach to saying sometimes we're not just tired in our body, right? Tired in your body could be okay. You can take a nap, you can stretch, you can take a bubble bath, Epsom salt bath, eat and be okay. Drink some water, like my mom says, and be okay. But the other types we have to be cognizant of because it really does impact our day-to-day productivity and impacts how we interact with people and impacts our relationships, impacts a whole lot of stuff. And so we just can't dissect it and say, okay, go. We just need to. That's why my thing of self-care for burnout is not enough. We have to address all parts of these in order for us to get out of burnout. Principle number two: energy capacity diminishes both with underuse and overuse. I like this principle because sometimes we're not bringing our best selves. We're not tapping into our potential. We're always holding back something. And so when you're holding back something, you're not fully utilizing your energy. And then when you're overusing it in the wrong way, in the wrong place, in the wrong time, you can actually overuse your energy and deplete it both ways. Is the snooze you lose. You know, it's not like riding a bike. If you don't do it, you will forget how to use this part of yourself. So your capacity, in order for us to be at full capacity, we must have a balance of we must find a balance of using our energy correctly, not over, not under, but we have must find a balance of energy usage and renewing our energy. Principle number three: think about how elite athletes train. We must push ourselves beyond our limits. I'm not even close to being an athlete, right? But when I was working with a personal trainer and I was like, oh my God, you have me doing these jailhouse workouts. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do them, but we got to keep, if I'm going to do burpees, I'm going to do burpees, but I can't do push ups, get on the treadmills, do burpees, do I can't do the up and down. I'm going to get a migraine, I'm throw up. He was just like, well, just throw up. Okay, fine. That's how we did it. It's okay because I knew he was challenging me to like, I know it's a comfort zone. Your body will get used to it. Just keep pushing, keep going. The worst thing that can happen is that you throw up. But we do have to push ourselves beyond our capacity, right? So some stress is good, and good stress is called eustress. EUSTRESS. I've lost my capacity to spell with spell check, digital spell check. So eustress is good stress. Me challenging myself to be online and be more visible and do more reels and do more lives. I don't like it. It's not bad. It's not bad stress. It's helping me to show up in a way that I need to exercise and gain energy and capacity to do this. The more I keep showing up, the better I will be at it. So this type of stress I'm putting on myself is good stress, right? There's also bad stress. That's not the stress we're talking about right now. I'm talking about the stress of getting outside of your comfort zone, especially to be aligned with your purpose and the mission of your life. That is why we also burn out, because we're not operating in where we need to operate. Our life is not aligned, where our life does not reflect our purpose. And we're usually afraid to actually operate in our purpose for one thing or another. And it's usually comfort and pain and time and frustration. We don't want to do that, right? But in order for us to build capacity, build more energy, gain more energy, we have to push ourselves past our comfort zone. We have to get into some good, stressful situations where we are being stronger, we're tapping into more potential, and we're getting better. Number four, principle number four, we need specific strategies or specific routines for managing our energy. And these routines, you can also call them positive energy rituals. Positive meaning we are gaining energy in order to sustain our high performance. That's key. The fight that we have to like put barriers in place and say no and do the hard things to protect ourselves is really to protect and to implement those key rituals that will keep us on our game at all times. For us to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically at the top of our game at all times. And so those are the key things that should be on your schedule that you should always have time for, because it's really going to pay you back. The return on that will be almost immediately, right? And so in this transition of going to entrepreneurship, I knew before I transitioned, I had to start setting positive things, because what happens is that when we change and we think we're changing for the better, if we don't set the boundaries and practice before we get there, our new situation is going to overtake us and we're going to be right back where we started. So I had to say, okay, Aaron, you have time to fix you a healthy breakfast in the morning. Pause, put down the phone, don't even pick it up. Go do something. So my key was to make some tea. Just go and make tea. That is something simple. You can do it sleepy. Just put some water in your kettle, boil it, make some tea. But that ritual kicked off everything to where I'm putting on a sermon. I'm getting ready to go walk or do yoga, and I'm taking the time to actually make myself a healthy meal, also while getting myself together for the day. So that was the key ritual for me in order to set the tone for my day. And ever since I've done that, I have felt a huge difference in my focus, my stamina, um, and how I feel throughout the week. Just getting more done, being able to go from one thing to the next without saying, "Oh my God, it's one more thing I gotta do." So those rituals, those are things I help my clients with in our one-to-one sessions, because it's better. I know it's better, easier said than done. But those rituals and being accountable and figuring out a way to clear your life out, implement these rituals, start over, implement them, and see the change is really hard. But that's where accountability and a coach comes into play. So, what are the benefits to energy management? There's a few. So, the first benefit is emotional flexibility. This is your capacity to move freely and appropriately, that should be in all caps, along a broad range of emotions instead of rigidly or defensively. So, I know part of that being burnout is just doesn't stay at work. You're going to snap on people at work. It's not going to come out right. Your staff could be asking a simple question for help. Your answer comes out wrong. The email you type sounds angry. When you drive home, you cursing people out. you, you are giving them the finger. You are aggressively in and weaving in and out of traffic. You get out of your car, whether you have kids or anybody in your house. I'm by myself and I could feel when I'm angry and just don't want to talk to anybody, right? But if you do have people in your household that you have to interact with, you're going to be snappy. You're going to be impatient. That's that emotional inflexibility that comes along with being burnout. But when you have the energy to move along from stress to frustration to disappointment to from being happy to to having a pensive mood and being in deep thought and reflection, when you have the energy, you'll be able to have that emotional flexibility to return back to yourself. Hopefully your self is really nice and pleasant. um you'll be able to return back into that person quickly. Nobody's going to be able to take you out of your right mind or right emotional frame, right? And so that is one benefit. The second is emotional resilience. So that's a little bit different. So emotional flexibility, moving um gracefully among a range of emotions all day, having the energy for that. And then resilience is being able to bounce back easily from disappointment and adverse experiences. When you're so tired and burnt out, one little it could be um I just remember one day I was just so over it. I knew I was at the edge of burnout. I knew I needed a break. I was just trying to fix myself some oatmeal. I'm very frugal, so buying the glass 100% maple syrup was a big deal. Use a tablespoon out of it, put it in the side of my refrigerator, and somehow it slipped out. Glass broke. I probably still have syrup under my refrigerator if we're honest about it. Um, but that it just I really left it there for oh, I couldn't deal with it. I put a towel, I cleaned up as best as I could, but it just felt like that breaking of the maple syrup was it just took me out. Took me out. But I was tired. I was tired. But even if it's if it's worse than emotion, if it's a setback at work, you didn't get the promotion, your project got pushed back, it was canceled, you got moved over, had to fire somebody, had to like anything. If you're tired, you're not gonna bounce back. You're just gonna bounce and break. But when you have the right emotional energy, you're gonna be able to bounce back and pivot and go in another direction and keep progressing forward. The other Another benefit is mental endurance. You'll be able to focus and concentrate longer. So I know sometimes we say adult ADD, and some people have been dealing with attention deficit disorder for a minute, and maybe just realizing that's what's happening. But sometimes it presents in us professionals and adults because we are so tired. We can't focus. We can't, we're so frazzled. We can't just stay on one task, finish it, and go to the other. Our mind is racing, thinking about everything else. The one thing we can focus on does nothing. It's so great. It's so crazy. We can focus on like Instagram scrolling or Facebook scrolling or binging on YouTube because it's video after video. But when it comes to something that we have to actually put our hands on and work on, we can't do it. But that is a sign you don't have the mental energy to deal with that. And along that same line, the mental flexibility. So, mental endurance is being able to focus, mental flexibility is the capacity to move between your rational brain and your intuitive brain and be able to intake advice or multiple viewpoints. Prime example, you could get snappy when somebody's just giving you some advice, simple advice, and it's like, I can't do it. I can't be bothered with that. I can't listen. And this probably is the reason why we don't want to connect with things that may help us because we are so tired. We can't process it. We can't make decisions. We're tired of making decisions. We're tired of learning. We're tired of going from this point of view and weighing it to that point of view. That is mental flexibility. And if you don't have enough energy and you burn out, you can't do that. And the last two has to do with spiritual, right? So spiritual strength is being committed to your values. When you are burnt out and you're tired, You cannot have the fortitude or the resolve to say, hey, this is what I believe in. This is what I know. I'm not going for it. I'm setting a boundary. You don't have the energy to do that. You go from one side to the other. I don't care. It's fine. You just don't care about anything. And then lastly, spiritual flexibility, which as I was preparing and thinking about how this impacts social impact leaders of color, the people who, when we are working in equity, we're working in predominantly white environments, we're working on systemic issues, and we are immersed, whether it's in work, TV, radio, Instagram, we constantly hear other people's beliefs and we constantly have to tolerate them, right? And that draws down our energy. When we have to tolerate other people's ideas at that intensity and then know that their beliefs will not probably do cause harm to others, whether now further down in generations or systemically, that burns us out. That is one of the reasons why I'm committed to supporting social impact leaders of color, the people who are fighting and these on these important social justice issues, whether it's health, medicine, education, um, equity in general, in corporations and nonprofit worlds. I know how that weighs on you, and that sucks you dry, right? And that is one of the main sources, a main contributor of our burnout in these roles, in these jobs. And so when we don't have the energy on all four fronts, we cannot reap the benefits of being fully engaged, fully energized, and renewed. So I know that was a lot. That's why I'm breaking it down across 4 episodes. And as we wrap up, I just want to remind you of a couple of points, just take home points. Energy is not limitless, but it is renewable. Time is not renewable. We cannot get that back. Once it's gone, it's gone. But as human beings, we have energy. It is renewable, but it's not limitless. And so when we operate in a way that we will always have this energy, we will neglect to stop and renew it. In the same way, we often treat our cell phones, our cars, our laptops, our watches, and our earbuds better than we treat our own bodies. Because when we see that it's at 10%, some people want to see it's 85% that will go and plug it up. But we have to, we don't have an indicator light, but we have to be more aware and be more cognizant of our own depleted energy levels and actually intentionally renew our energy on all fronts, figuring out a game plan to keep this up, sticking to it, knowing that it will help increase our performance at work, at home, on all fronts. So, rest and recovery are key to high performance. That's a message we have to continually reprogram ourselves. We want to seem productive. The message that we had is you're lazy if you're not doing anything, but we have to reprogram ourselves that rest and recovery is the key to high performance in our life across all areas. And lastly, because it is the key and we want to perform for ourselves, we want to perform because we know we need to maximize our impact. We have a calling, a passion on these serious issues on the social justice front. We need to do it for ourselves, but we also know we have to keep up our energy and strength in order to maximize our impact and leave a legacy of change, right? So we must be intentional about developing a rhythm of spending our energy, challenging ourselves in the right way, and renewing our energy, resting and recovering. So I hope this helps you. I hope you go back and listen to it a couple of times because this is important. I think this is has played an integral part in my success in balancing full-time work with a business and all the other things I do, right? And some people say, how do you do it? How do you do it? I've had to switch and do different things. And this is one of the things that I have used in my life, or principles I have used in my life for a long time. And so in the next two episodes, we'll talk about how we squander our energy, the daily things that we do, and the choices that we make that waste our energy. And then lastly, I'll talk about how we renew it and helping you to set up those good energy renewing rituals. So, thank you so much for joining me. I know that this is a shift in perspectives. And so, if you don't have to, I am going to roll out a, a special one to one coaching program called Revive and Thrive in the next month. Really focus. This is the key part of that program is energy management. I'll help you with an energy management plan. You don't have to wait. If you have a need for a coach, executive coach, you want to just do better, perform better, you need an accountability partner, I am accepting one-to-one clients. You can actually go to my website, gracefullyproductive.com, and schedule a mini coaching session. And if you're unfamiliar with coaching, this will just help acclimate you. If you don't know me or haven't had any interaction, it's a great chance to get to know me, to see if I'm the right person to help you on this journey. I hope I see your name come across my calendar. Um, that is all that I have. Thank you so much for tuning in to Refueling Station Live. And remember to renew your energy. Promise me you'll take a nap, you'll rest, you will shut down, um, shut your phone down, get off social media for a little bit, stare out the window, go for a walk. Figure out how to take 10 minutes that's intentionally going to renew your energy for the rest of the day. Thank you. Be blessed.